George and Molly Green founded Water Missions International back in really 1998. Hurricane Mitch hit the coast of Honduras and just tore through it. And they had a relationship, I think, with an existing church in Honduras at the time. And in conversations during the storm with the priest at the church, they realized the need was huge. And so they immediately started trying to figure out how they could help. And water was the main need at the time. And so George and Molly Green, with some of the employees at their for-profit business, which was a engineering environmental firm, put together really our first water treatment system. And I guess how many days after the storm hit? It was very quickly. It was within a week or 2 weeks, I think. They had 6 systems put together, and then the Air Force, United States Air Force, came on. I think a lot of the local community donated maybe food and some clothes, and they went down to Honduras and put the first systems into place. So that was 1998. When they were down there, which was not an idea to start water missions, it was an idea to respond to a need. And through that, they were so impacted that the need was more than just a disaster that was hit that particular day, that it was a need that was there every day. It's just the cameras and the news doesn't catch that. The issue is huge. The more they dug with that, the more they wrestled with that, they realized that Water Missions International needed to be founded. And so in 2001, we got our NGO status, our non-governmental organization status, and we've been there ever since. And Honduras, as we were telling you just a little bit ago, is our first country program. And so it's been a very successful one. So.
Yeah, I always think it's fun to show the first living water treatment system here. And so they called it back then just an adult science fair project. And now when you look at what we have, it's come a long way since then.
Coming down these halls, I always like to just point out a handful of the pictures. These are obviously places we've gone, and you just see the need. I don't think anything does it like the picture, seeing a little girl standing in the water source that she's plans on drinking. And you think about the amount of fecal. Here's a guy right here on the herd of all these animals drinking the water that they're going to be obviously using the restroom. And I'm sure you know the statistics, but you're talking about right shy of 1 billion people lack safe water. And about 2.4 lack sanitation. So those are
I didn't realize the sanitation was that much more.
huge statistic. It's it's easy to say about 1 in 7 people are getting their water by traveling on average 4 miles there and back, picking up this kind of water. And here's the part that kill me. In these canisters that look like old oil canisters, the thought that you dump that sort of stuff out, pour it right in your mouth just kills me.
I always wonder what these containers were used for before. Most of them do look like oil or antifreeze.
They said that there's about 1.5 million children that die every year from drinking unclean water. And it comes down to about 1 child every 15 to 20 seconds dying because they're drinking water that, like Roger said, is worse than the water we're getting out of our toilet. And if you look at sort of a day, people dying a day, it's the same as 14 jumbo jets crashing. And so it's really a silent killer, because all the time we look in the news and we see someone got in a car accident or someone got sick, but when you think if a jumbo jet crashed, just one, it would be all over the news for a long time. But there's 14, the equivalent of 14 crashing every day from unclean water.
Yeah, one of our volunteers here, it just does an amazing job. His name's Casey. I was listening to him talk to a group, and he said it's a disaster every day. For every one of those families that has a child dying every 15 to 20 seconds on average, that's a disaster every day. And we just don't see it. So you don't hear it.
Almost never talked about the news, actually.
And it's the second largest killer in the world, according to WHO, World Health Organization. It's right under lower respiratory infection. It's above AIDS. It's above all those other big ones that you hear, but you just don't know. It's diarrhea, and diarrhea is caused by lack of water. So it is a silent killer.
That's a big struggle that we have, trying to communicate that with people, because when there's a disaster like the Haiti earthquake or the South Asian tsunami, and we do a lot of disaster response, it's easy because it's all over the news and everyone wants to donate, but trying to communicate that every single day this is happening, it gets tough.
Yeah.
So you guys can do a
Yeah,
good part.
Here's one of our systems actually out in Haiti, in one of their camps they had set up. And this is a little older system, and I'm going to show you a system we've made improvements as we're going. I mean, water missions in the grand scheme of things is still pretty young. Like, 2001 is our founding, so we're coming up on 11 years plus or minus, and so we're evolving as we grow. But the easy part of what we do is treating the water. That's the easy part. Making sure that what we do is sustainable for years to come is a large part of what our focus is. Because our expectations is that this system's going to be there for ever.
Yeah.
Or at least until they have another means of safe water that's provided. Outside of just treating water is the sanitation component. And this is just an example of one of the toilets that we find in Honduras. Actually, is this particular picture. But we do what's called the healthy latrine, and we go out there and we create a concrete latrine form, and we set a toilet. And a lot of places, and what you'll see is, they have no, here we have the nice P-traps that block the sewer gases from coming out. It also blocks flies from coming in and out. So part of what we try and do is, it's one thing if we provide safe water for them, it's another thing if they turn around and contaminate the safe water that we provided. So a lot of what we try and do is come at it from both sides. So when we put a system in, we actually put a toilet, and it has a P-trap now. And they use the water that they wash their hands with to help flush the toilet because they don't have running water out there. So it will show you a little bit more detail. We're now blocking not only sewer gases but the flies from going in and out of their waste and coming back in and landing on their fruits. And
I never even thought about the trap being used for that. Yeah, I guess it makes sense.
In Honduras, that's what we see a lot of times, but in Africa or some of the other places, they don't even have a hole or something like that. They're just going behind the house, in some trees or the bush, and anytime there's any rain, it just continues to contaminate the water by running all together.
I mean, all these pictures are sort of telling the story of the struggles going on.
So since water missions got started, we've been in 49 different countries, served over 2 million people.
Wow.
We've got those full-time staff in 9 countries, but due to disasters or donors wanting to go to different areas, 49 countries. You can look at the map over here and see all the dots are a different place where we've done a project, and in the back you can see all the flags are places we've done projects. The colors don't mean anything, but just need to look at that and see how spread out it's been just over the past 10 years.
Been all over Indonesia. Oh, wait.
Those are
okay. I was about to say, wow. There's a lot of little islands you've been to.
But this is a neat one. Look right up here, not somewhere you see a lot of Americans getting contact to.
Oh, wow. You guys went to North Korea?
Yeah, I think it was Samaritan's Purse actually responded to a famine and responded using our systems there too.
Wow, awesome.
We partner obviously with other NGOs. Samaritan's Purse is one that we would have partnered with.
Yeah.
Here's something neat for you guys.
Nepal? Wow.
I don't know your camera pick this up. This is, in essence, what we want to see at the end of treatment. This is the water source. And when we go into a community, the first thing we do is we assess the need of the community. And the second thing, we'll test the water source, find out, is it contaminated? Do they even need us? Most of the times it's contaminated, of course. But what we'll do is we'll see, we'll find out what the fecal looks like in there, the total. And then once we treat it, it comes out clean. That's going through our sand. But here's the important part. We have 0 parts per 100.
Is this under a microscope or magnified at all?
Yeah, those are a little blown up. Those are blown up. Yeah,
they're about this big.
Okay,
yeah, that's just
okay. So that's
it's
what
a petri. Yeah, that's what you would see.
Wow.
Yeah, that's your eye would pick that up. And what you do is if you really wanted to count how many parts that is in there, you dilute it a little bit so you could count it.
Oh, it's that bad.
Yeah.
You take this little cup full of water, basically strain it through this little filter membrane that's like this big, and then you put this little stuff called bacteria food, drip that on top, and put it in basically like an incubator, same way as you would hatch chickens or something like that, and then leave it for 24 hours, and it kind of works just like if there's any bacteria in there, they eat the food, they like the warm environment, and so they start to grow, and that's when you can see these dots coming out, and the blue dots are fecal coliforms, the red dots are total coliforms, and really just the brown's all just dirt.
All those are things that make you sick.
Pretty much poops the fecal coliform.
Yeah.
That's all the
A lot
stuff
of
you
stuff
really don't
that's
want.
sick.
That's what you get.
That's small.
That's what gives you the diarrhea, the Montezuma's revenge right there. So,
And often, even in addition just to having two, we would have another one with another cup that looks clear, but we'd have another picture that would still have tons of bacteria in it, because people often don't understand, you know, clear water doesn't mean it's going to be safe. It still can have bacteria.
that's right. That's important. Yeah. So just because it's clear,
Right.
and that's why. Thanks again. Good man. Bro, one of our volunteers came in today, and amongst doing all that he did, gave us some haircuts.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
He's been a barber for 70 years.
Okay, cool. Well, that works out.
So I was like, he said, I'll do it. So I said, I'll take you up.
All right.
Yes, sir. I'm on. Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get out here.
Yes, sir. Come on back here.
You can also see there's just some pictures from all the different country programs. It's neat to see the people with the different ethnicities. You know, some places we're going, they're a little more developed, but other places like here in, you know, Kenya, they're just going into these very remote tribes, and literally the water that they're drinking looks just like chocolate milk. Almost looks like Fanta. It's neat to look at. The variety.
A need for us to go in, or if there is a group that will help us go in, we'll do it. It's so much more difficult for us because we don't have the staff in place to go in there and do it. So we really try and push things into our country programs where we're established. Now, having said that, as something comes along, a disaster or something, or maybe all of a sudden, especially in the Central America, where we start to do a lot of work, say Guatemala, where it's not a country program, but we're supporting Guatemala from our Mexico and our Honduras country programs. If it starts to get enough traction and the needs there, we'll eventually create a country program there too. That's how we go. You know, that's how we grow. So, but you know, we have the staff. I don't know if we mentioned we have about 150 staff globally. So
I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, it's a big staff.
I want to introduce y'all real quick. This is Jay Cook.
How are you? Well, nice to meet you.
And we have not gotten to the warehouse, and I don't know that we've stressed enough yet telling you about water missions, but really the backbone of water missions is our volunteers that come in and do the work. Jay organizes all of that. He organizes our manufacturing facility, which we put all of our systems together here, test them, and send them out. And so when they get into the field, they should be ready to go. We shouldn't have problems. And you know, something that we go back to the volunteer thing, and without that, right now Water Missions getting about 83 cents of every dollar coming in goes back out. Our goal is to get it out. Our goal is to get up to about 90 cents of every dollar. That's huge.
Yeah,
that's really big.
That's important for us too.
Good. Well, our founders, we're led by example. George and Molly Green, that I told you founded it, are both full-time volunteers. So that's huge.
Completed guts of the water treatment system. This stuff here is going out to Uganda probably tomorrow or the next day. I just had some stuff leave for Haiti 15 minutes ago.
Solar panels.
Yeah,
Solar panels.
Oh, cool.
A lot of where we go doesn't have power to run our pumps, so we do a lot of
And these are solar power pumps, solar panels, some different wiring things in Uganda. 15 minutes ago we had a shipment leave for Haiti. Had some stuff go out Friday to Tanzania. You know, so it's constantly.
What's the average power requirement for one of your units?
There's no power needed for that. Absolutely none. Yeah. What's needed is power to pump the water through it.
Right.
If you had gravity and the water came down.
So like a rain catchment system would work well.
Well, the problem with that is that rain's going to run out. So we need some water source that's going to be there year-round through a drought or whatnot.
So if up on a mountain there's a river or a creek or a stream, we can use the gravity to feed it and we wouldn't need a pump. But 99% of the time you need a pump.
Right.
To take the water.
We're going up with a well.
Right. Okay.
Or throwing it in Lake Victoria or throwing it in the creek or a ditch or wherever there's water. But so what you need solar power for is pumps to move it through the system.
Okay, cool. And that's the other part of where we're at too, with our 83 cents of every dollar. We got some sponsors, Soul World, past partners with us.
Are they based out of Charleston?
No,
No, the solar company.
Solar World is actually based out of Oregon.
It's actually owned by a German company.
Yeah.
and their corporate offices are in Southern California. Their manufacturing plant is up in Oregon, and they're the biggest solar panel manufacturer in the United States. Yeah. And then what? A month ago, 6 weeks ago, there was a disaster in Peru. The Amazon was higher than it had been in like 70 years. 40,000 homes gone, people displaced.
So didn't you hear about it?
Yeah.
Red Cross.
I frequent the news.
Yeah. So we ended up putting 20-something systems together and a bunch of other things and getting it down there. While Solar World donated, because it was a disaster, donated some solar panels to that effort. So yeah, they're very good partners. We have several very good partners. FedEx moves our stuff free. Donates it.
Really? Wow. Yeah, I know they're.
Well, they give us $150,000 a year worth of shipping. So,
Awesome. Yeah, incredible.
so yeah, we got we got some really good corporate partners.
Cool.
Once again, those things are what help us keep our ratios where we want them to be.
I'm going to talk to you more about some of the real needs of this because we have a real successful show of our efforts. So, okay.
Come in and there's an SOP. We do some training, but there's an SOP for everything. They just follow, tells them you need a B, a C, a D, a E, and they just follow the instructions. Glue this, then you glue that, and so it's pretty simple for them to follow the instructions. I mean, there's still some training that goes on. So these different parts and pieces are built around the shop, and then they flow into the center here, where we actually start assembling the systems.
I don't know that we told you the name of the system. The system is called the Living Water Treatment System.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so we
I think I saw it written.
LWTS. Okay, yeah, LWTS.
Okay, cool.
But that is, so if you hear us refer to that, that's just the Living Water Treatment System.
When I first got here, we used a lot of water here, testing all these things for leaks and back flushing the filters and all that kind of stuff. So we were throwing a fair amount of water down the drain, which to me was not appropriate.
Right. Yeah.
We're supposed to be a water ministry. Yeah. So we built, it's not pretty, but we built what we call the Recyclotron 9000 over here. Yeah, it looks like a mess, but we recycle our own water now.
Okay, so you just keep pumping the same water through.
Yeah, we recycle our own water now with the
cool.
Recyclotron 9000
Nice.
to minimize the amount of water we're throwing away.
Cool. And I guess that's kind of a concept you teach as well, using like you're saying using the gray water from washing your hands to flush the toilet.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, our systems are designed in a community situation on meeting World Health Standards, the basic needs for hygiene, for washing your hands, cooking, and then also drinking to provide a community 3,000, 3,500 people. And a disaster, we can meet the needs of 5,000 plus when you start to shave out those other. So we got some conservative numbers built in here, but they flow on average about 10 gallons per minute.
Excuse me, I'll let you.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm thinking on my hand pump filtration. I'm like,
All right.
wow,
No, we're pumping. We can pump some water out of here.
Wow. Yeah.
And you know, but come on back and we'll show you how it works. Real deal. This is, I mean, it's just a 3 high. This is set up to show a couple of things. Set up to show a solar power use. This is a Grundfos pump that runs off solar power. Not all pumps are solar ready. You know, solar clouds, when you got cloud coverage with the sun coming up, you have a variance in the voltage, and so of course that affects the pump. These pumps are smart pumps, and they're able to handle that.
Nice.
That's right.
Very cool.
And so what we have, in very simplistic, we have the 3 tanks in the bottom. Mm-hmm. We have the water pumped into the system. Mm-hmm. It comes in, this is actually almost difficult to see. The water enters the system back over here in this area right here. There's a pipe and it's coming through here. If we're picking up, if we're getting a real dirty water and it's got real fines, it's possible that it runs through 2 of these 3 tanks have a sand mixture filtration in it, and it's a mixture of these different type particles. It's just a recipe. This is the different granular materials we shovel in those things, and once that's in there, it's never replaced.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Cool.
it's a
Do they clean it out?
yes. They probably don't. It depended upon how dirty the water is. It's really dependent upon. Yeah, absolutely. It's dependent upon how often they need to back flush the system. But because we want to cut out any sort of just ease the product. We tell them to back flush it every night. So they back flush the system every night.
Let's give them the close up.
There you go. Yeah.
So what are the?
This is
That's
garnet.
carbon, right?
This is garnet right here. The 3 different levels of fineness. You can see from about kitty litter size to talcum powder, and then this is anthracite.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And the nice thing about garnet is it's not going to break down or erode over time. It's totally solid, and so running through it, we don't ever need to replace the filters as long as we do a backwash at the end of the day, just to get in the routine. They'll just be completely reusable.
Wow.
If we get into a situation where the water has a lot of fines in it, and we run it through the system and it's not coming out, we check for the clarity, the turbidity in the water, and it's not meeting the standard that we want. We can add alum to the water, and alum just helps the finer particles coagulate. And then once it gets like that, it settles out through the media a little easier. And so that's really what this 3rd tank is. That 3rd tank is just a tank to allow this time to mix as it's running through our sand filtration. So once we get this, if we get out to a system, and this is neat with it, once these systems put together here, tested, when they get out to the field, we require that the community, in order to get them engaged, have built a structure for this community, for the system to go into, and they have to do some sweat equity to get in there. Absolutely. And if we're doing any sort of a distribution system and we're trenching, we have the community do the trenches for us and stuff. And so, but once we get out there, our technicians and engineers can get this thing up and pumping water within 2 hours to half day. So we can be moving the water once the system's up and ready to go. But when they first get it going, they'll piddle with this alum, and it's just a small adjustment. It works on a Ventura system based on the water going across, creates a little suction, and it mixes. Once they get that fixed, we don't touch it again. It goes pretty good.
Cool.
Once it's run through the filtration system, very simplistically, it goes through our chlorinator, and we adjust the. We want the chlorine to be ideally 0.2 parts to 0.4 on the high side, maybe 0.5 on the high side, of chlorine coming out. And it's important, actually. Having the residual in the bucket that these people fill up actually helps protect that water source as they transport it back. If they do potentially contaminate it, the chlorine's still in there at a very low level. We've treated with chlorine in the United States and Europe forever.
Right. Yeah.
And so we're talking about those type of standards. It's the same sort of standard. In fact, one of the problems we have, if we get it too high and people can start to taste it, they're not going to use it. So we're failing again.
Right.
What we want to do is meet the needs of people, obviously. Safe water.
And we put basic chlorine tablets, same as you would use in like your pool, in this. And so you can just stack like 5 of those up in there, and then you set the level of the chlorine using that, and you're good to go.
Okay. So I guess, and that's easily replaceable with the market for chlorine tablets.
Yeah.
Very easy. Yeah.
And how do they come out of their own pockets to refill chlorine tablets?
Glad you asked. Glad you asked. You're leading right into our next step.
Okay, cool.
Well, we talked about sustainability of the project.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So ultimately, one of the things we have to do is we need to create a micro enterprise for this community. So from start to finish, by the time Water Mission gets involved, it's going to take us about 13 months to 18 months to get a project in and operational, because of the amount of time it takes us to train the community. So if we go into a community and we say, hey, we want to provide you safe water, and they kick back and the leadership of the community is sort of hesitant, we won't go in. Not until we feel that they see the need for it.
Right.
So we train, we find the leaders of the community, we train up we form a safe water committee. We train one of the locals to be an operational person on this, We teach health and hygiene. We also do the living water component, which we're a faith-based organization, so we do the living water component. And then we, once that's established, they are to sell the water to their community, and we're talking a lot of it's
Very cheap.
it's it's cheaper than any sort of bottled water they could get, or we're talking 20 cents, 25 cents, or something like that for a bucket of water. And the idea of that is it's going to help maintain the cost of chlorine, pay the employee that's running the system for the day, and it's also going to be enough to help replace a pump one day when the pump breaks. We have it in Uganda, and we're now shipping a couple to some of our other country programs. But the idea is that everybody in the community gets a little key like this, and when they walk in, it's a prepaid key, and they have, say, a couple of dollars on this, and they walk in, put their bucket below it, set it in here, and they'll start pumping water for them. When they're done, they take their key out, and it will cut off the system. And the very, very neat part about this is that when they use this key has their information on it. So we start to find out how far somebody's traveling in, how much a individual is using the water. Are they going to it 2 or 3 times a day? On our other bigger systems, we have it metered, and we know how much the volume is being used today, and we can back into how many people are in a community, and we can make an assumption.
Right.
But this has given us hard data points, and we're able to chart it. And we are actually remotely now, one of our engineers here is coming up with a way that we are able to get real-time data. And so we're starting to chart all this stuff on every one of our systems across the world. We have roughly 1,200 water treatment systems around the world. So, we just want to improve with everything we do, and this is one tool that's really helping us.
Yeah, this is really neat. Rather see this going from you guys than from Coca-Cola.
Right, absolutely.
Much rather you guys do it.
Absolutely. This is our healthy latrine. It's you saw what they look like out there, and one of the things we require, our goal is to put one of these in every house. The average house in Honduras has about 500 people. 5 people per community. I'm sorry, 5 people per community. So one of these per, on average 5. In Honduras, Colon, Honduras, which is a department, one of the departments there, like a state in the United States, we've put right shy of 15,000 of these latrines in.
Wow.
Yeah, and with this latrine, the cost of this is somewhere between $250 to $500 once we have the mold in country. And with that comes the the door. They get a toilet. They actually get a plunger. They get a cleaning bowl, and the good side about that is, or I say the good side about that, we require behind this they dig a pit, and we require the community or the people that are getting this to dig the pit, and then we'll come and set this for them.
Okay. The pit being kind of like a septic tank that's not enclosed.
That's right. That's right. Well, no, we cover the top, but we put a concrete top across the top of it.
Oh,
and it's plumbed into it.
Okay, cool.
We have. This doesn't have it. This has a vent pipe like your house would to help it flush and push water good. So
okay.
And it works by setting out this aluminum mold first. So you dig the pit, pour the concrete top on it, and then you put this on place. You mix just concrete with fiber, it's like fiberglass, and pour it in the top, and on the top there's just a bunch of holes right around, and then once you pack it tight, let it sit for 24 hours, take this mold off, and then you're just left with it.
And I will tell you, just to figure out how easy or difficult that was, a group of us here with all of our modern technologies built this one. And if you'll notice, this has been cut off. That's because we didn't do a very good job. There's much more skilled labor in the places we're going than us here. So.
Right. I never thought that my family could have something like this. They have this real sense of pride, real sense of dignity, and so you'll see that when you go down there.
Yeah, I guess that'd be a big part of getting them to maintain and respect their systems and everything too. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much all the stuff in there.
Pentair did a project starting back in about 2006 there, And at the start of that project, they said, we want to go into Cologne, Honduras, and we want to give 100% access to water and sanitation. And so when they did that, they said, we need to have a case study out front. So we had an outside source, Dr. Jeff Deal with MUSC, went in with a team, and they did a health assessment pre us going into Honduras to do anything. So let's really gauge our success. So he did everything from interviews to the locals. He did actual stool samples, a lot of them, I think 1,000 stool samples. And then he interviewed the hospitals and got how many people are coming in here for waterborne illness. 4 years later, 2010, it's a published document now in one of the health magazines. But he went back in with the same team and he did the same things. He interviewed the locals, he tested stools, and he interviewed the hospitals. And what he said, which I thought was interesting, he said that one that you can't take worth much is the interviews with the locals, because they're so appreciative of anything we do. They're going to say whatever you want to say. So yes, we feel better, you know. But he said when they started to look at the stools and they went to the hospitals, we saw a reduction of communities that we had been in for more than 4 years of 55% of waterborne illnesses. That's huge. That's huge, 55%.